Hello everyone, I'm here today to do a review of Love in the Big City, which is also part of the International Booker long list. And this is a Korean book. It is about a gay man in Korea. I think it's late 20s, early 30s. It's not specified very clearly, but that's around the time that we are looking at. And he has a very messed up life. He drinks a lot, he goes out a lot and has a lot of sex. But the book is not about that mainly. It's more about, it's very introspective, and it looks a lot about how he goes on with his life and what he actually cares about and why he does what he does, because he knows that his life is messed up, and the drinking and the sex is coping mechanism, I will say. But he talks a lot also about the relationship with his mother, and diseases both from his mother and his side, friendship, love, a lot more introspectively than you would imagine from a book like this. I have heard it compared to Queenie, but Korean and gay man, but I think it's completely different. I think Queenie was a lot more surface level, and this goes a lot deeper into the reasons why people might do these kind of things, which I was very surprised, but positively surprised. So if you are hesitant to take this book up because of those kind of comparisons, don't be. It's a lot more than the sex and the drinking. That is mentioned, of course, but it's not. It doesn't take the whole book. It doesn't go into detail about exactly what he drank and the next morning. It's just mentioned like, yes, I was drinking a lot in this time in my life and I was having a lot of sex with random people, but that's all it is. It doesn't go in depth into the details of that. It goes more into the relationship with his mother and how that affected his life, and the role of friends in his life, and the role of love. He has several crushes. It's divided in 4 parts, and I will say more or less each part, not exactly, but more or less each part has a big love in his life, someone that he is really into, and we see him going through those people and how important they become in his life, and how heartbreaking it is when that doesn't work out. And then after that, he does go back to those habits that he had. So it's more about how you end up like that, and how hard life can be sometimes, and coping mechanisms basically. I think that's more or less the idea of the book. I particularly enjoy the second part when he talks about the relationship with his mother, which is a rocky one, and I really enjoyed reading about that part. I also liked the friendship in the first part, and he has this very beautiful friendship with a girl that he lives with, and everybody thinks they are a couple, but because in Korea the norms, the gender norms, and the social norms are a little bit more strict, I would say, than in Western countries. So that also gives an idea of that part of it, because also we see in the beginning of the book he's kind of insecure and kind of not closeted, but it's not everybody knows that he's gay, and we see all the prejudice with that. And throughout the book we see him growing into his own person and opening up about who he actually is, and accepting the fact that he is who he is and he's not gonna change that, which again was a really nice thing to see. So there is a lot of character development, and there is a lot of introspection into how those developments happen. As I said, is divided in 4 parts, and each part, it's kind of it jumps in time a couple of years every time it starts a new part. So we see him throughout a significant portion of his life, and we see those changes in his character and in his way of handling himself, and I really enjoy that. It's not exactly a coming of age story because he's in his 20s and 30s, but I think I have heard this before, and I think it makes sense that when you are from a minority such as the LGBTQ plus minority, it's almost like you have two comings of age. So the coming of age of becoming an adult and a person, and the coming of age of becoming who you are in terms of your identity. And this is a coming of age in the sense of coming to know yourself and your identity and coming to terms with that. And yeah, it was just lovely. Also, the writing, it's not the most beautiful writing I've ever read, but it is beautiful in places. It is not overly complex, like it's not overpowering, but it does have moments in which I wanted to highlight things because they were very quotable. I didn't, because I was reading the ebook and I just don't tend to annotate or highlight things, but I can imagine that people will like to highlight parts of and sentences of this book because there are some beautiful sentences. It's not full of them, but they are there. And in that sense also I wanted to talk about the translation because I don't know obviously how this was written in the original language. I don't speak Korean, but I have the feeling that things that are translated from Asian countries, especially Japan and Korea, tend to often be translated as in this very naive, very simple, almost detached style, and this book didn't feel like that. And I don't know if it's because of the translation or it is because of the actual writing of the original language, but in either case it's something I noticed, that it didn't have that feel of detachment and simplicity that a lot of writing from those countries has. So yeah, if you speak Korean or you have any more ideas about this, I would love to hear them. But yeah, overall, I really like this book. It's still not my favorite, but from the list. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth a read. I was hesitant when I picked it up because of the descriptions of it being simply about a gay man that likes to party a lot. Those are not normally my type of books, but yeah, I think that definitely there's so much more to this book than that. And I would like that people pick it up and discover it from themselves. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know if you have read this book, if you're planning to read it, and until next video, bye!